18. That's the number. 18 times they've tried to kill this man. And let's be clear, this isn't some story from a history book. This is happening right now. The people behind these plots, they're still out there. They're watching, they're waiting, and you better believe they're planning number 19. But this is about so much more than one man's life. Think of it like a fire, a revolution of thought that's starting to spread across the continent. And there are powerful forces, global forces, that want to see that fire put out for good. They've failed 18 times, but they only have to get lucky once. To really understand the target painted on Captain Ibrahim Traoré's back today, you have to go back. You have to understand the story of the man who walked this exact path before him. A ghost from the past whose revolution was silenced, and whose murder is now a chilling blueprint for what's happening all over again. Yeah, before Traoré, there was another captain. A man with ideas so powerful, so dangerous to the way things were, that the system decided he had to be erased. His story, the blueprint for everything we're seeing now, it all starts with one simple, earth-shattering idea. Just let that sink in. He who feeds you controls you. That was his entire philosophy. It was a declaration of independence, not just on some piece of paper, but in every single bag of grain, in every new school, in the minds of his people. It was a vision of real self-reliance, and it came from one of Africa's most legendary revolutionaries. His name was Thomas Sankara. And at just 33 years old, he found himself leading a nation. But here's the thing. He wasn't interested in the fancy cars or the palaces. No, he wanted to tear the whole system down and build something new, starting with the very name and identity of his country. And the speed of the change, it was absolutely breathtaking. I mean, in just 4 years, he vaccinated millions of kids, he taught millions more to read and write, and he made his country food self-sufficient. He was proving right before the world's eyes that an African nation could truly stand on its own 2 feet. But that success, it was making some very powerful enemies, not just abroad, but much, much closer to home. As Sankara's star rose, so did the plots against him. You had foreign powers getting very, very nervous. But the knife that finally struck, it came from inside his own circle. It came from his best friend, his brother in arms, Blaise Compaoré. He made a choice. And on October 15th, 1987, Thomas Sankara was murdered, and his revolution was buried with him. Sankara's death wasn't just the end of his life. It was the beginning of a long, dark winter. For the next 27 years, the man who killed him would work day after day to systematically tear down every single thing Sankara had built. The reversal was total. I mean, look at this. Everything Sankara stood for was flipped on its head. Self-reliance became dependence. Pride in Africa was traded for cozying up to France. Social justice, that was thrown out for IMF austerity programs and, of course, massive corruption for the new elites. For nearly 3 decades, the country just bled. Its resources were plundered, its people forgotten. But that spirit Sankara ignited, it never truly went away. In 2014, the upright people, as he named them, they rose up. They took back their country and forced the traitor into exile. But what he left behind was just chaos, a total power vacuum. The country was completely falling apart. And out of that chaos, another soldier was watching. A young captain on the front lines, fighting insurgents, watching his country get eaten alive from the inside out. This wasn't some politician in a fancy suit. This was a man forged in the failures and the betrayals that followed that 2014 uprising. Imagine it. You're on the front line. Your soldiers, your brothers, are dying because they don't have the right gear. And all the while, you know the leaders back in the capital are getting rich. Captain Traoré saw the same old pattern. A betrayal of the troops, a betrayal of the nation. He started to believe the war was being sabotaged on purpose. But the change he hoped for never came. One coup happened, nothing changed. The country kept bleeding. And then came the final straw, a devastating ambush on a convoy, dozens killed. That was it. Traoré and his men believed they were out of time. They felt they had to act right then, or there wouldn't be a country left to save. And right away, he sent a message. In a world where every coup leader immediately makes himself a general, he stayed a captain. He refused to take the presidential salary. He was telling everyone loud and clear, I'm not like them. I am not here for myself. I am here to serve. And by choosing to walk in Sankara's footsteps, by choosing his people over power and money, he instantly painted a massive target on his own back. He was now staring down the very same forces that had silenced Sankara all those years ago. and the retaliation was swift, and it was absolutely relentless. So why? Why 18 attempts? It's because every single move he has made is a direct declaration of war on the old system, a system that got rich off his country's suffering for decades. Every action he takes gives them a new reason to want him dead. First, he cut the cord, he kicked out the French military, he expelled their ambassador, he shut down their media networks. This was more than just policy. This was a raw, powerful statement of sovereignty that sent shockwaves all the way to Paris. Next, he went for the money. See, his country is a huge gold producer, but almost none of that wealth was staying home. So he starts building the nation's first ever state-owned gold refinery. He cracks down on smuggling. He was trying to stop the plunder of his country's most valuable resource. And well, you don't just turn off a money tap like that without making some very, very dangerous enemies. And finally, he completely redrew the map. He turned his back on the old Western-backed groups and built a new alliance with his neighbors in Mali and Niger. This new power bloc, forging ties with countries like Russia, caused a geopolitical earthquake. It was a direct challenge to the old powers who used to run the show in the region. And that brings us back to this number, 18. It's not just a number, it's the price of revolution. It's the cost of saying no more, the cost of taking your country back. He has survived every single one of them, so far. But the forces aligned against him, they haven't gone anywhere. They're still out there, still watching, still planning. The story of Captain Ibrahim Traoré is far from over, and you have to wonder, is the most dangerous chapter still to come?